Welcome to Tunisia's Locs, Beauty Tips, and Potpourri, the channel where we get it all in. You can also learn more about the I Am Melanin Magic brand. Thank you for stopping by.
Channel. Happy September for all of you beautiful souls out here in creation. I am Tunisia Ali, and I am the face of I Am Melanin Magic and the face of this channel. I'm here to bring you knowledge, information, wisdom, and experience about your Sisterlock journey or your microlock journey, or even now your knotted locks journey. I have been on this journey now for 13 years. As of, I think, the latter part of July of 2023, I think I'm at 13 years. I have experienced so many things throughout my lock journey, and I want to just share a little bit of that with you all today as a way of imparting some wisdom based upon my own personal experiences. So if that looks like something you want to listen to today or something you think you can benefit from, then go ahead and hang in here. Watch the video to the end. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I'm just going to highlight a few things that have been pretty significant up to this point in my journey. And first thing I want to start out with is how I actually got to Sisterlocks in the first place. And then I'll go into highlights of my journey, and I'll conclude with how I'm feeling about my now knotted locks. So when I started Sisterlocks, it was because of traumatic, severe hair breakage. I had been using henna for many years. I love the henna, but of course with the henna, unless you're putting it on already developed or lightened hair, you are not going to be able to go but so light, because it's going to take the shade that you already have and it's going to deposit the henna on top of the strand. But just because it deposits it on the strand does not mean that it does not shift the molecular makeup of the hair strand and does not affect the ions, which it did. And so as a result of my following up with actual color, at that time it might have been dark and lovely or soft and beautiful, I experienced quite a bit of hair loss. Now, I followed up within a couple weeks, if I even waited that long. I had always been dyeing my hair, whether it was with henna or with a hair color. And as such, I experienced very quick, profound, and lengthy hair loss that continued to come out over a period of weeks. It was coming out at the root. It was breaking the entire long strands of my hair. At that time, my hair was probably here at the back and maybe here in the front. And so it was life altering, and it was very sad. And so I went ahead and cut my hair so that I didn't have to deal with the sadness of watching it just come out. As I would run my hands through my hair, I would get 7 to 10 strands, and I would just cry. So a few weeks later, I went ahead, and after I had cut it, I went ahead and went to the barber. I had it cut, and I began to twist my tresses. And as I began to twist my tresses over about a 1.5 year period, I began to notice that I wasn't quite cut out for it. Although I had been doing my own hair since I was 6 years old, and I always had an interest in hair, and I come from a line of master cosmetologists in my family, starting with my grandmother. I was not prepared for working with my natural hair because I had relaxed hair my adult life, throughout the entirety of my adult life. So I began to say to myself, like, gosh, I don't remember being like this. I don't remember having to do my hair so much when I would blow dry it, and then I would get it nice and straight, and then I would use the curling iron and put the curls in it, and I would notice from the time I would be in the bathroom putting my last curl to the time I went downstairs to the kitchen, literally my hair would start drawing up. And I was like, this is a lot to maintain. I need another solution. I've always been a woman or a young person who did not like to spend a lot of time in the mirror. I like to look my best at all times, bar none, but I'm not a person that spends a ton of time putting on makeup and doing hair. I don't like it. So I didn't like the effort that it was costing me and the time. And so I began to look into Sisterlocks. I knew 2 ladies that had them. Several weeks later, I went ahead and took the dive. And the wonderful Miss Ifraj Suad in Atlanta, you can look that name up, Ifraj, Suad, S-U-A-D, in the Atlanta area, installed my Sisterlocks. And it's been wonderful ever since. It's been a beautiful journey. That journey was very interesting because from the first several months of the install, at about 9 months forward, my hair started to really shift and change in an unexpected way. I don't know what I thought was going to happen with the locks. I knew I wanted tiny locks. I wanted a certain kind of lock. I wanted a certain quality of lock. But when they actually started locking, I was thinking, oh my gosh, like, these are locks. And I wasn't 100% sure that I liked the way they look. Do I love them today? Hell yeah, but I also evolved spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, and I evolved within myself in terms of my sense of self-love and acceptance. So as the journey went on and I experienced the various rebellious stages of the teenage stage, which I feel like I was in that for a few years. My locks never really compressed and dropped until about year 5. So it does not, I want you, and I say this, and I'm going to bring this important point up, and I don't want you to ever forget this. The reason why that's so important is if you listen to all of the, Sisterlocks has a way of putting you in a box. The locticians have a way of putting you in a box based upon only their experiences, which don't even touch the diversity of experiences that different people with different hair grades can have. It's the same way we categorize hair into letters when in fact within those letters are so many different derivatives and subgroupings of hair in terms of quality and description. So they claim that the teenage years were going to be this amount of time to that amount of time. That wasn't true. They will tell you that your hair will develop like so. That won't be true for everyone. That may be true according to the bell curve, but you will have outliers on both sides. You will simply have divergence. People like me who just don't fit the description. People like you who just can't be classified and categorized. So your hair will do what it do. Let it do what it do. Your hair will do what it does, and you just need to accept it. And when you see it do what it does, don't assume that it's something faulty with your hair or that it's something faulty with the loctician, even if she tries to explain it. Even if someone wants to blame you for what your hair is doing what it does as it is being trained to feed into a system that feels a bit foreign to it. And so I experienced everything from what they call bunching. Didn't have much slippage at all except around a few locks maybe in this area up here. I experienced a dramatic difference in the way all of my locks looked across my hair because I have 4 different textures of hair within my head, just like you have multiple textures of hair within your head. And so as I continued to look at my hair, examine my hair, and work with my hair, I began to fall in love with my hair. I actually began to fall in love with me in a way that was not possible when I first transitioned to my Sisterlocks. I learned to accept myself more. I learned to be at peace with who I am internally as well as externally, because as you go through these changes, it draws a lot of attention to you. It draws attention to you from other people, and then it draws attention to your inner core as you begin to look at yourself morph and decide what it is that you like about this journey and what it is that you don't. You begin to ask yourself, what is it that I don't like about myself? How is it that I've allowed my hair and my outer edifice, my outer form, to influence the way that I feel about myself or to take on such superficial significance? So I would say that my Sisterlock journey was a catalyst for my journey back to self. And throughout this journey, I've morphed in an amazing amount of ways. I've changed myself physically. I've changed energetically. And it's been quite a beautiful spiritual journey that has led me to where I am today. By the way, check out my spiritual channel, which is Butterfly Transformations, which is also one of the unintended consequences of the catalyst for my spiritual journey, which obviously all of this was a part of my fate and my destiny. So it was already moving in my life at a more subtle level, but this just brought it to the surface. So as I continued throughout my journey, I learned a lot of different things. I learned that my hair needed oil. I developed an oil that I used on my hair for 8 years, which I eventually have begun to share with you all on the channel, which is the I Am Melanin Magic brand, which has gotten such wonderful reviews, accolades, testimonials to my phone, feedback from those of you all who show up in the comments about the amazing way that this has helped your hair stay healthy, helped your hair maintain moisture, has given your hair the nutritional support, and for many of you, helped it grow back in places where you didn't think it could ever grow again. So I introduced this to you all. I made some tweaks in the formula to lighten the oil and to make it more suitable for daily use. And then through this, I developed the magical hair growth serum, which the two of these together are two of our hottest products. Many of you are using them as a wonderful duo. This is the one that helps you to address what's going on around your edges or in places where you're experiencing hair loss. This does not go all over. This goes in the troubled areas. And then, as you know, we have many other products as well. As you've seen me, and if you've observed my skin over the last year's morph, that's from the Ageless Beauty Serum. That is 1 or 2, 4 or 5 drops on your face and just blending it in. It gives your skin a dewy look. It smooths fine lines. It gives you an even complexion. It moisturizes and conditions. It gives your skin the nutritive support that it needs. It helps you to lock in moisture. It rescues dryness. It helps and manages irritation, as well as exfoliating, helping to excavate things that don't need to be in your skin. So that, along with quite a few other products, are part of the line that I developed in response to some of the experiences that not only I was going through in terms of needing oil, but many of you started to complain about on the channel regarding hair loss. And this is very potent. It's just potent. You can check out some of the commercials on some of the other videos to see how potent and effective it is. But I learned a lot. I learned as I continued through the journey that I loved curls. I learned that the best tool out there for me with curls, for curls, were the pipe cleaners. I learned that I could color my hair, but that if I colored it too much, although I was using this daily to reinforce my hair and give it strength, as I colored too much, I learned that my ends would eventually dry out and I would have to take breaks from coloring, and that I needed more of my oil support to keep my hair healthy, which I'm thankful that it did, because with the multitude of coloring, I've colored now over 10 or 11 times, my hair is still done well. I learned how to combat lint, although I'm not very good at combating lint. I learned that I should not be taking my ends out all the time. I have an OCD thing going on with my ends, and that my hair should really be this long all the way over. But the reason why it is not is because I have snapped and broken my ends, and I'm doing what I can to tie my hands behind my back and let my hair grow to its longest this time around. I learned that frequent retightenings and too frequent retightenings and having a loctician that does not listen to your concerns and wants to exercise her mastery of a process over your head of retightening without regard for what your particular and individual needs are can be detrimental to your hair, and that you need to be mindful over time of the long-term ill effects of not having oil in your hair, not moisturizing your hair with water like it needs to be, or a hydrosol, or whatever other healthy water-based spray that you may use, and on top of frequent retightenings with someone who's too rough on your hair at too often of an interval is going to result in some type of negative ill effects for your hair. That's probably been the biggest and most, I guess you could say, transformational experience that I've had, especially with all of you beautiful women on the channel who many of you have been heartbroken because of the substantial hair loss that you have sustained as a result of following prescribed regimens when you have Sisterlocks and having a loctician who maybe is not flexible enough to adjust to the evolving needs of your hair. So a lot of what I talk about on the channel has to do with that. I've watched this go on up close and personal with the pictures you all have sent. Many of you began using the magical hair growth serum. You experienced regrowth, and then you'll lose hair again when you continue to participate in the same destructive rituals that got you in that place in the first place. Many of you will have your hair to rebound and are now going in a different direction with trying to maintain the hair growth. Many of you are excited to know that your hair can grow back. You've heard me say many times on the channel that if you're able to re-stimulate hair, number one, you're fortunate, because your follicles can be damaged so much that it can take a whole lot to turn things in another direction and begin to stimulate growth. It can take years for some people. And so when you are able to experience the benefits of regrowing hair where hair has been lost, then what it does is it proves to you that your hair can still grow. And it proves to you that it's not your hormones, it's not your diet, it's not something that you're eating, it's not your quote-unquote man on pause, menopause, it's not all that other stuff that you've been geared to think was a part of your hair loss, because that takes the onus and the fault off of individual locticians or off of the brand for a failure to acknowledge and train the people who represent the brand, failing to train them to be on the lookout for some of the practices that they support and that they usher in and that they force you to participate in that are actually not healthy for your hair. So I've seen a lot to happen throughout this journey. I watched when I started in the journey, the typical retightening cycle was between 6 and 8 weeks, although after my first year I started doing 10 to 12 weeks. As you can see, my hair is thick. I never suffered as a result of it. To the recommendation for 4 weeks, for the standard being 4 to 6 weeks, and for the prices to go up, which is not so much of an issue if you're getting the quality that you deserve to get. So there have been a lot of changes, and in watching a lot of the pain that you all have gone through, and in having 2 or 3 of my locks in various places that I noticed thinning from, 2 way at the back, and this area at the center of the nape of my neck has always been very thin. And then I had 1 or 2 up in here, which I feel were more related to my hair. My husband pulling my hair like this when we would lie down in bed, or his hand getting stuck on it and it would snatch. I think that was the issue with the top, because I had taken over retightening the whole front area of my hair about the last 1.5 years, 2 years before I even shifted over. I made it a point to begin to give these high traffic areas and highly sensitive areas more care and concern. But I got to a point where I decided, by looking at many of you out there, that I didn't want to be in the same boat, and that although I had a system and I had rituals and practices and things I would do in between retightenings, things that I would do before retightenings, and things that I would do post retightening, that even though I had those rituals in place and I knew that I could help build capacity in terms of hair strength and integrity, I still could foresee the unhappy ending and the gray clouds in the sky and the disappointment and possibly hair
Purchase your copy of Manifesting Your Masterpiece at Amazon today.
My hair. And so in comes Miss Melissa Blakes. We meet. I understand about knotted locks. I OD on several knotted locks videos in the course of a couple of hours. I already knew what I wanted. A word to the wise is sufficient. I made the shift. Within a day or so, I was doing the training, or at least by that weekend I was doing the training, and I have been knotted locked ever since, I believe, April the 21st of 2023 or somewhere close to that, and I'm absolutely loving it. I can't tell you how free I am. You used to always hear me talk about the tyranny of hair enslavement when I left the relaxers and came into Sisterlocks, now this new system, Knotted Locks, makes me feel as though I left another intermediate area, which now, based upon pre and post, where I was, where I am now, and looking back at from whence I've come with the Sisterlocks, I realized that I was under another more graduated, more sophisticated form of enslavement that I decided to transition away from. So I will always say Sisterlocks is wonderful until you start to realize that some of the practices that are being implemented via people who are authorized to do Sisterlocks can actually have a detrimental effect on your hair over time. And if you don't question the fact that you may be being told that it's hormonal or that you need to see a dermatologist, you're likely to give up and think that that is your fate. But that some of these practices, in effect, are at-risk practices that put the longevity of the health of the style and the health of your hair under question, where you have to look at things with a microscope and you have to really go in and inspect what it is you expected when you embarked upon this journey. So I talk a lot about those things on the channel because my idea of personal empowerment involves you understanding what is going on with your hair and developing a more intimate relationship with your hair, and not just sitting in the chair and turning your fate, your hair destiny, over to someone else who can't possibly care as much as you do. And so that you begin to recognize that it is your responsibility to be an active participant in your hair care journey and to change the story and the narrative around what is good for your hair and what the possibilities are. So I encourage you to look at some of the practices and to modify them, to communicate freely with your locticians and let her know what your concerns are if you think you're going in too frequently and your hair doesn't require that. Or if you think that the frequency is okay, but you have concerns about the number of rotations or the tension or the rough way in which your hair is being dealt with, or possibly the way in which you're continuously being told that you shouldn't put any oil on your hair when you know your hair always needed oil way before you got this style, whether you were natural or not. So these are things that I encourage you to investigate. And then if you are not given what you feel are adequate solutions, that you begin to investigate knotted locks as an alternative and as the go-to style that has an underlying philosophy and methodology that not only will you love, but your hair will love it as well. When I say free to choose, free to decide when I want to do it, free to travel wherever I want to be in the world, freedom of time, no more 12-hour self-reties when I would do my own reties. I'm talking about 2.5 hour retightenings with my hands, using a process and a methodology that works for me. Again, Miss Melissa Blakes with Knotted Locks. You can go to knottedlocks.com on Google and get more information about her. It is also in the description. But I do encourage you to be an active participant in whatever it is that you are authorizing to be done with your hair, that you do have options, that if you're feeling uncomfortable with the way your hair is being maintained or the tightness of the retightening, which in and of itself is a problematic word that has an energetic frequency to it that really doesn't feel too good when you start relocking your hair with knotted locks. The retightening process, like tightening in and of itself, is what creates so many problems with the hairstyles that we have for many decades heaped upon ourselves as acceptable forms of self-abuse, things that pull your hair, that stretch the scalp, that pop the follicles, that actually cause the loss and death of your hair. These are things that may have been acceptable to you in the past, but you most certainly have come to the place where you can graduate from them moving forward. I am Tanisha Ali. If you haven't purchased my book, Manifesting Your Masterpiece, you can get it online at Amazon. It is to help you to gain clarity, up-level your mindset, clear and heal energetic blockages so that you can manifest the glory of God that is within you. That book is there to help you go to the next level in your self-development journey, in your spiritual journey, in your journey within, in your journey to be the greatest possible you that you can be. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the video. You have me here continuing to love on you and bring you quality content as I continue in this most wonderful journey. Bye!
I want to take a few moments to share with you some of the successes that the I Am Melanin Magic hair brand is having. Jimmy here, along with his father, have been dealing with hair loss presenting as bald patches and thinning throughout his hair for over 10 years. He decided, by way of his girlfriend, to give I Am Melanin Magic a try. With consistent use of the I Am Melanin Magic Magical Hair Growth Serum, using it 5 days a week for 8 weeks, these are the results that he was able to get. I Am Melanin Magic, and so are you. Manifesting your masterpiece on Amazon.
Melanin Magic. If you want long locks,
luscious hair, radiant skin, want to look and feel good,
then I Am Melanin Magic is your brand.
I Am Melanin Magic,
And so are you. Hey ladies, do you love the way your skin looks and feels? I know I do, because I am using the I Am Melanin Magic Anti-Aging Serum. And at 50, I love the way my skin looks and feels. This blend is bomb. It renews, revitalizes, rejuvenates, soothes, conditions, moisturizes, tones, brightens, and fades all in one step. So if you're ready to get your glow on, go get you some I Am Melanin Magic Anti-Aging Serum.